All right, good morning. How are you? Will, just time prepping. And it is story time with Will. Today is chapter 10. The name of it is Hard Goodbyes, and it takes place on February 6th in Ohio. She needed help. It had taken Angela a while to convince herself that calling Mark was what had to be done to get her son back. The voice of fear was constantly warning of punishments, but now that she had called it, it was also a struggle to keep from doing it again. She hated being alone, hated being scared. Angela was dreading the journey she was about to make, but almost all of it she worried about the edge of panic in her dreams that said it would all be much worse than her life with Kenny. If it was possible. Her nightmare said she would face dangers that made the Marines seem like an amusement ride. And if not for the deep love in her heart, she wouldn't go. The woman frowned at her thoughts. None of her fears mattered, only her boy did, and she could no longer wait to leave. The circled on her calendar was over a week away, but she was now going to be needed to know where Mark was. She had to be sure he was really coming this time. Without his help, her plans stood little chance. You can't, her fear shouted, telling her Kenny would kill her for it, and the door in her mind stayed firmly shut. Angela stood stiffly in the dark hallway of her apartment building, fear preventing her from making the call. Once she did this, once she left, there was no giving up. The urge to go inside and keep waiting was incredibly strong, but her heart took control. I'll kill him if I have to. He won't keep us apart. The rush of angry energy blew her fear away, and the door in her mind swung open. Her breathing became shallow, hair raising with static, and the power ran through her mud-tracked hall as the witch gathered the energy needed to find the mental doors that would cover hundreds of miles. Her eyes fluttered shut as the memories washed over her, strengthening the connection. Jet black hair, long, feathered, and soft on her fingers. As their mouths touched, he was the only man she had ever loved, and she called for him now, releasing a powerful vibration that rattled like an earthquake. Mark, his hands been light, gentle magic as they crossed forbidden lines. Marcus, he had loved her and left, and she had never recovered. Mark, I'm here, Angie. He sounded older, used, and she winced at the pain of having him in her head. It reminded her of when it had just been them against the world. Are you still coming? Fear of the past made her hold her breath, fear that whispered, no, that she would be alone forever. Yes, I should be in Cincinnati in less than a week. Angela let out a breath. 5 to 7 days away. She had been afraid he wouldn't come and was still worried he wouldn't care once he found out what she wanted. She didn't know what kind of person he had become, and she was depending on a debt that was very old. Will you tell me what's going on? I picked up a few things, but I can be better prepared if I know more. But you do not know what kind of person he is, or wouldn't have called him. The old Angela, the one the war had almost freed, stated flatly from her twisted cell door. Tell him what he needs to know. Angie? I'm here, Brady. She couldn't almost feel him wince this time, and it surprised her to discover she didn't enjoy it. She owed him much worse. Can you tell me? The caution, excuse me. The caution in his voice allowed the old Angela to open the door between them a little wider, and the words fell with a simple awkwardness that made her cry huge, silent tears. My son is somewhere in the middle of the country. I need you to get me there and help me steal him. If it comes to that, I'm leaving now. We can join up on the road." There wasn't even a thoughtful pause after her request. "It's bad out here, Angie. I wish you'd wait for me." She could feel him immediately wanting to take it back, but her rage was quick and harsh. "I tried that already." She was suddenly 16 again, hurt, betrayed, and alone, with no one but Kenny to turn to. She slammed the door on Matt's incoming protest, but the old Angela was stronger now, and she was forced to listen to the muffled apologies and explanations he labored to push at her. She heard the words and his remorse, but no matter what he said, Angela refused to answer. In the dawn's early light, Angela approached the shiny black Blazer waiting in the secluded garage. Her anxious gaze swept the extra tires on the luggage rack, the rest area neatly crammed with boxes, and of course the tiny grave she had spent time at almost every day since the war. Leaving her baby boy behind was hard, and she had to force her grief down. She couldn't abandon the living child to stay and mourn the dead one. Angela wiped away her tears and finished her comparison of the contents to the long list on her hand. Did she have everything? After another minute, she put the paper in the mailbox, along with the envelope in plastic and the door keys from around her neck. It would have to be enough. She swept her tempo, making sure that the wind and the weather hadn't dislodged her notes. She had also written on Charles's bedroom wall and left the keys of the ignition in her car, just in case her quiet, respectful son was becoming angry and impatient. And if he slipped off on his own and survival, please let him survive, she would change course to intercept him. She had no delusions about the world they were in now, and she made sure he would know the truth if he came back here. The real truth, not the bullshit she had been forced to tell him for the last decade. There had been great love, a hard choice, a lie, a deal of convenience, but really none of that mattered now. What did matter was telling him how to survive if he found himself alone. The notes would do that, would hopefully keep him alive until his father could come for him. Noticing the light, ashy flurry starting to fall, Angela got the last bag from the hallway. As she stepped out the door, she saw a woman reflected in the glass that wasn't sure she knew. She looked so much stronger than she felt, and she slid into the driver's seat with a thin smile. She was changing again. "Going somewhere?" Warren's cold voice outside the open door was unexpected. Angela flinched but didn't draw the gun her hand was resting on as she listened. How hard would she have to go to fight? Could a good bluff set her free? She hadn't heard them come and hadn't felt a warning. Probably they had been here all along, letting her do the work of loading the supplies. The men were lined up across the bare, muddy courtyard in front of her building, cutting off any path of escape. They watched her openly this time, hunger in their leers and smirks, and they were quiet, too, another bad sign. She recognized the outline of vests under thick layers of clothing. Her heart skipped a beat. They had come prepared. Or so they think, the demon inside comforted her. "Hold your ground." "He's close, I have to go." Warren's beaten face and slumped shoulders told her that the chain of command at the college had likely changed, making this a more dangerous confrontation. Talking her way out suddenly seemed very unlikely as she stared at his feverish, zealot's face. "If you try to run, they'll open fire. Get out." Angela slowly slid to her feet, scanning the 6 men spread out behind Aaron, each with a firearm aimed not at the Blazer, but at her. She sneered at Warren with a battering tone, seeing he still had the Bible under his arm. No longer under your protection, preacher. No one is. It was confirmation, and yet none of them stepped up to do the speaking, to take control. When Warren shut the door and turned to her, she noticed they stayed well back. Even Aaron. He was probably the only one who would shoot her. The others wanted her alive. Aaron wanted her dead for humiliating him. Let me go. I don't want to hurt anyone. There were nervous looks exchanged between a half-dozen would-be captors. Instead of the scorn she had been hoping for, and it told her that they had probably already discussed the possibilities of getting hurt, were determined to follow through. Her anger flared to life. She would have to fight her way out. Angela slipped back to let the witch have a little more control. She had to fight. She didn't have to kill, and I won't. Her reminder to the witch seemed to be a cue for the scruffy males, and they advanced toward her together, eyes grim, faces leery. The witch whispered the words, and Angela muttered, hands casting them out. Poison, blindness, disease. Their reaction was instant. I can't see. I can't see. Skin's on fire. Someone put me out. The bugs. Help me, man. It was awful, powerful magic that had them tripping, landing hard on the cold, dirty ground. But Warren wasn't fooled by the vivid bluff. He put a hand out to grab her and jerked away, but she jerked away as lightning flew into a tree in the courtyard next to them, shaking the ground. The oak exploded, raining down wooden shrapnel in the warning, but Warren ignored it. He snatched her by her sweater, jerked her up against his hard, thin body. Surrender yourself to me, witch. Her face became a snarl of hatred. I belong to no man. Lightning crashed again, close, and she pushed him away with a strength he wasn't expecting. When he tried to grab her again, the witch whispered two words, and Angela felt power flowing through her, something alive and hungry. She shut her eyes as the newest gift was revealed. Fire! Ice! Lightning crackled for the third time, striking the truck Warren had arrived in, and it exploded, twisted metal raining over the battlefield. Warren and Aaron ducked, but the witch didn't flinch, and Angela wasn't hit. The sky opened up a second later, and chunks of hail, black and heavy, began pelting on them. The four men whose names she had never known recovered too quickly, but fled in fear, not thinking to use the guns they'd brought. The witch held a gun where flames now danced along her fingertips, and the two remaining men stopped expressions confirming that they were in over their heads and knew it. If you push me, I will kill you. The demon's voice was cold, without weakness. When Aaron raised his gun, finger tightening on the trigger, the witch surged forward to laugh at him. You think that'll work on the likes of me? The woman may die, but I am immortal. The witch shoved forward, demon face merging with Angela's, and the man went pale at the sight, glowing red orbs and hungry white fangs. Horns sprouted from the sides of her face. Her long, crooked mouth opened to reveal razor-sharp, needle-like teeth. When the demon's forked tongue lashed out at him, Aaron ran. He didn't glance back. The witch remained, resisting Angela's attempts to get her under control, but the preacher showed no fear, even though he was now facing her alone. You are not strong enough to override her morals. She is a doctor. She will not let you kill me, he countered, sure of his answer. The witch grinned, and the red eyes changing, becoming reptilian. You know so little. Doctors kill often. They just don't murder. This would be self-defense. Leaning on faith, Warren grabbed her arm again, Bible still in his hand. I am the Lord's prophet, and I see you, demon of souls. Surrender yourself to me in the name of the Father and the Son. Ah! The witch released the ball of flames before Angela could stop her, and the fire leapt hungrily at the preacher's bare hands and face. He slapped at himself frantically. Angela shoved the demon back before she could hit him with a final consuming blast. "Stop! It's enough! Never, never be enough!" the witch roared, furious at the attempted theft of her freedom. Angela glowered at Warren, ignoring his pain as he tried to put the fire out. "You have offended us, preacher, and the demon wants your soul as payment," she stated harshly as he yanked off the smoking jacket. Fear and hatred filled his face. "She'll settle for your death." Angela held out a hand, where tiny flames were again flowing in her palm, growing, shaping into a ball. "Does it have to be today?" Warren wanted to push away. She could feel it. Angela let the witch's red eyes blend again with her own. "Last warning." The religious fanatic spun away, tattered book falling to the muddy ground. Angela sucked air into her lungs that burned from holding her breath. She'd won. She was free. Her scream of triumph echoed as they fled. More confident now than she had ever had another defense to depend on. Flames and ice, fire and brimstone. How fitting. Angela moved toward her blazer, reasonably sure Warren wouldn't die and content that the others wouldn't follow. Even if he wanted them to. If he came for her later, it would probably only be him, and maybe Aaron. 2 against 1 is much better odds, she thought. Above fate laughed. Angela pulled the blazer's door shut as Warren vanished behind the thick, rolling black smoke billowing from the burning truck. When his faint outline was gone, the witch retreated fully to allow Angela an untainted view of the empty home prison cell she had lived in for the last 14 years. All she felt was relief. She was finally free, and she wouldn't wait another second to go. Locking the doors, Angela pushed the wall of the grief and guilt away as she stared at the tiny grave. Shadows darted and smoke rolled as she started the engine and shifted into drive. She felt sad and excited, but mostly scared. Even with the gun at her side, her kind was not meant to be alone. With a last sigh of misery and excitement, she pulled her sunglasses over teary eyes and drove away. Empty and full mailboxes waved a final and hard goodbye in her mirror. It was a long day for Angela. I better stop right there. We're into book 2 of chapter 10, and we're already 17 minutes in, so we're going to stop right there, guys. We'll start here next time. It'll be book 2, and it looks pretty darn good. Angela, I didn't know Angela had a witch inside of her. Did you guys? I had no clue that was what's going to happen. So as you can see, it's getting pretty good, from book to book. It's telling you the whole story and unraveling what happened from the time the bombs hit till now. So I want to remind you guys that if you haven't been keeping up with the story, I have a playlist, and it covers every chapter that we've read so far. So if this is starting to sound like something that you would really like to get into, go back when you have some time in the evening or whatever, sitting in bed not able to sleep. Do whatever you have to and just put on your headphones, your earbuds, whatever, and start listening to the story all the way from the beginning, because it's starting to unfold right before our eyes. With that said, I'm going to end the story for today. We'll start on book 2 of chapter 10 next week. And I want to let you guys know about tomorrow. Tomorrow is the coffee live stream where you bring all your friends in there and we have a little bit of fun. I write your names down so that we can have a drawing on Saturday. And somebody is going to win one of my stickers. So as long as you guys keep bringing people in there to the live stream on Wednesday, you know that when we hit 50 or more, we have 2 drawings on Saturday, and those are for stickers, as y'all well know. So it's going to be fun. Bring all your friends. Remember, bring your friends. and we'll do the best we can. We'll have a good time. We'll kick up our feet, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And remember that everybody that comes in, I mention your name just to give you a little exposure to the others, because some folks don't see you slide in there, so that we can support one another. Learn a little bit about each other, meet new friends, meet old friends, all that good stuff. So that's all I've got for you for today, you guys. I really enjoyed the story today. I had no idea there was a witch inside of Angela. Did you? Okay, that's it. It's God bless you. God bless me. God bless US Bay. I love you guys. Till next time, see you out there.